Hey there, and welcome to Making Finances Sexy. I'm Jessica Lay, your Rent Rave owned realtor and certified instructor with 101 Financial, right here in the Valley of the Sun, making it my mission to help you transition from renting to homeownership. No matter your situation, I'm here to be your personal finance coach and first time homebuyer specialist. And as always, with me is Rose Short.
Hey, Rose here, aka the Red Queen. I'm a realtor here in the Phoenix Valley as well. I'm also a financial consultant and CEO of Kronika Luxury. It is my mission to help you build multiple income streams, fire your boss, take those vacations you want, and live your best life. And today, Ms. Jessica is going to get us started with personal finances.
Oh, yeah, I'm really pumped for this episode because I started my personal finance journey back in 2018 when I moved to Hawaii, and I just haven't looked back ever since, except to notice how much I've grown, which is a and everyone should be pumped up about. So,
Yes,
yeah, just personal,
growth is sexy.
it is sexy, and personal financial management, it's really important because it helps us to take control of our finances and actually achieve financial goals and secure our futures. By managing money effectively, we can budget for expenses that may come up. Like, I'm buying a house right now, and that's insane to me. Actually be doing, and just saving for emergencies and investing in our future and retirements, which is like all things I didn't think about back in 2018 until enrolling in a class and taking the chance, personal finance.
Yeah, it's something that we don't really think about when we're younger, but it's like when you're younger is really the best time to think about it and get it started because if you start now in your 20s, you're so much more, further ahead than somebody in their 30s or 40s. And you just save so much more and just do so much more with your money long term if you start early.
Yeah, that seems to be kind of the problem. People are like, I'm too young to think about, life insurance or think about my retirement, but what is too young, really? And like, how long do we actually work till like 60 years old? Like you're in your
Yeah, or
20s.
70. I mean, we know people that are in their 70s still working.
Exactly. I don't ever think you're too young or too old to get more disciplined and take a look at your financial situation.
Agreed. Yeah. Especially with how, the job markets evolve and whatnot, but it's so easy for companies to decide they need to downside and just let people go. So, you never know when that's going to happen. Like even if Amazon just laid off a bunch of people, and it's like even that's a little disconcerting because you would think Amazon of all places would not be letting people go, but you never know what the economy is going to do. You never know what your job's going to do. And so relying solely on your job is just not the smart way to go about it. And too many people do thinking that they've got job security when in reality, there's really not a thing such as job security anymore.
No, there's not. Like, I have a student right now, she's struggling to get her social security checks. They're always late, and she can't pay her bills because it's always late. And it's just seeing it happening now to her, that is just more assuring that we may not have social security when we're in that age group.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our generation will never see it.
No. So, recognizing the need for change, there's a few I can mention. It's difficulty paying bills on time, living paycheck to paycheck, carrying high interest debt, having no emergency savings, not contributing to retirement accounts or life insurance policies, overspending or impulse buying, not having a budget or financial plan, ignoring financial statements and bills, constantly stressing about money. That was a big one for me. Being unaware of your credit score or financial status, and um, the there's actually 7 of those that I related to back in 2018. If any of those resonates with anybody, I think it's never a bad idea to make a change to your financial habits.
Yeah. And especially as you make those changes, it's important to remember not to fall back, right? Because so many times people will get like a good chunk of money saved and then they'll go doom spending or they'll, be like, well, I need to treat myself and go shopping. And next thing you know, they spent half of it. So it's important not only to realize when you need to make a change and start making the change, but also stay on track and don't just revert back into bad habits.
Right. Yeah. One of the biggest things for me was letting money get me so frustrated, like to the point that I'm almost in a tangent to Kalani. Like, you should never let money control you to the point that you're like just you can't be talked to or you just slam the computer, whatever. Just scared basically of your finances. It's just the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
Mm,
like we said, it just adds so much stress to your personal relationships as well. And it doesn't even have to be romantic relationships, right? Like you might be the friend who never goes out, even though people invite you out because you're always broke. Like, that can be just as stressful for friendships as it is for romantic partnerships.
yeah, exactly. And we want to still live our lives and do things we want to do and have fun. And finances is a huge part of making those moments happen. Again, we're on this planet for not a very long time. So why not invest in yourself and make it better for you in the long term?
Yeah, I mean, we're so conditioned from, a young age from school and everything like that to sit down, shut up, put in the work and call it good, but there's just so much more. And I think your generation and the generation under you is really starting to utilize the tools available to go, no, there's more to this than this crappy job. And that's where it comes into like how to make money online because there's so many avenues now with online income that you can take that you can absolutely tell your boss to kick rocks and live your best life and things like that. And so it's super exciting to see that shift, but I think a lot of people are still scared to make that jump. They're still scared to even try because a lot of people, even if they're uncomfortable right now because they're living paycheck to paycheck, they're still comfortable in the fact that, again, they have a false sense of job security. And I'm not saying quit your job and then start an online business, right? Like, start it in your spare time. And so many people say, well, I don't have the time. You do. Like, stop playing games on your phone, stop, you know, Netflix and chilling at night. Like, stop all these bad habits that aren't bringing about anything and actually put in the time and the energy to learn something new and to get something going. And, a year from now, you'll be like, wow, like I used to think I didn't have time because I had my job, and then I didn't have time because I had my job and I was building my own business. And now my business is running and I have all the time in the world. But it starts with making the change, making the commitment to that change, and just deciding that no, there's more to my life and I want better and I deserve better.
Exactly. And the thing is, there's still a stigma around discussing personal finances. People are still uncomfortable, and so rightfully so. It's a big thing and to talk about. And sometimes people are in situations, it could bring on some shame
Yeah.
feeling or like guilty. I see that a lot with older students of mine, just they're feeling a little embarrassed because they got themselves into the situation that they're in and they are still working. They're busting their butt at their 9 to 5 and just don't have anything really to show for it or an emergency fund. Like when health declines for like them or their family members, it just brings in a lot more stress that could have been avoided if you built up some courage and did something different to your financial health and become more aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I want to break the stigma because I love talking about our finances. If like somebody helped me get out of the predicaments I was in, like my maxed out high interest credit cards that seemed like the bill or the balance was never going down, things like that. I want to help
Yeah.
other people pay off their credit cards that they've had for 4 5 years, and just it's an amazing feeling when you get out of that hole, and then you get to help somebody else get out of that.
Yeah. And it's so easy to fall into that trap with the way our society works, especially here in the US, right? It's just don't get me wrong, I'm not an anti-capitalist or anything, but there's a lot of stupid stuff people spend money on just to meet social ideals that they think they need to be part of, or the psychology of marketing and the FOMO and all that kind of stuff. But there's just so many tactics out there in everything that we see designed to take our hard-earned money, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Oftentimes it's not even, yeah, it's like it's not even necessarily their fault. It's just they fall, like we all fall victim to that, like I didn't really need this, but that sale looked too good kind of thing. And having the foresight to, identify that, I think is really helpful.
Okay. But yeah, most of the times there's just some obstacles that you're going through as an individual when you start your personal finance journey. The thing is, debt makes it a challenge. Your lack of financial education makes it a challenge because I've found myself getting a little frustrated, and I wasn't understanding like how I was doing, or when I created my budget and I wasn't staying within my budget, like it's just brings up frustrations in that. Having low income can also make your personal finance journey more challenging. Procrastination and lack of discipline can definitely linger your chances of pulling yourself out of debt or actually saving for your future or hitting those big goals. So there's just a few obstacles involved, and you just need to go into it head on and think about the end goal or and your end results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it is, don't get too caught down in the stuff that you can't control, right? Like if the house you're renting is expensive, but it's the cheapest that you could get or the cheapest you found, like that's something you can't really control. And like, yeah, it might suck, but stop complaining about it. Like focus on the money spend that you're causing that is hurting you, right? Instead of focusing on like the bills and the stuff that, it might suck that it's high, like energy bill, anything like that, but you kind of need it to survive. So there's a lot of like fixed income type stuff, which is what we'd say, or fixed expense that you're just not gonna have any control over. And so don't get too bogged down with, well, I can't save money because my house is too expensive. Well, no, you can't save money because you're spending $100 a week on takeout. Like, really like delve into where the money leaks are coming from and really focus on the ones that you can control versus the ones that, yeah, they might suck, but there's nothing you can do about them.
Yeah, true financial success comes from hard work, discipline, and sound financial planning over time. So, economy changes, our income changes, our expenses changes. There's constant changes going on, and if we don't know how to adjust where we need to adjust, then that's when we find ourselves or people getting into situations that are almost impossible to get out of because not putting in the time to learn and make changes to what you're currently doing and what the current circumstances are.
Yeah.
But a couple ways to get started in personal finance is there's plenty of educational sources. Like you can get started for free. Internet is a great source of lots of, I mean, you can't believe everything you read on the internet or whatever, but there are trustworthy sites. Investopia is one that I like, or Bankrate. I don't know if you read up on any personal finance sites, blogs, or anything, but there's
Not really.
plenty of them out there.
That
But
I believe. I
yeah,
follow your blog.
yes. No, there's mine. Social media, TikTok is a pretty good place for, quick videos where you can start today educating yourself for free.
Yeah. YouTube University, it's a big one.
Yes, definitely. And then creating a budget, I think, is a big big key factor in getting started with your finances, laying out how much you make and how much you're obligated to pay each month, and then working with that and figuring out what you can afford to be spending to keep your income positive each month instead of negative. And that's how you get deeper and deeper into goals.
Yeah, and following the budget, right? That's a lot of mistakes that people make too, is they'll make a budget, they won't budget any money for fun, and then every couple of months they'll just go crazy going, I need to go do something, I need to treat myself for doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden they've blown everything. So, schedule in or budget in, one nice date night meal a month, or something like that. Like, you don't have to, like you've always said, you don't have to completely deny yourself of all these things, but there is a certain level of this sucks that comes with getting yourself out of those situations and building long-term sustainability.
Yeah, and the
And that's just something you gotta, accept.
yeah, and the it sucks part is way less time than not doing anything. That takes way more time.
Yeah.
Is that period of like waiting to start something. But with the budget, I had that's me sometimes. I'll go over budget. Um, not unfortunately, but I'm living my life or
It happens, right?
yeah.
Like, it happens.
Yeah, but just at least I'm conscious of it. And then the next week, I just hermit up and not spend any money. And you can typically balance it out. But that's, again, consistency. You can't track your spending one week and then not track it the next. We need to
Yep.
constantly be tracking and keeping the data somewhere so you
Yeah.
can learn and grow yourself. And if you do struggle overspending, that's me. If I'm swiping my credit card and I don't see it.
Yep.
A big thing was pull out cash. Like
Yep.
nobody likes cash, but when you're getting started with budgeting, that was what saved me. Is I went to the ATM once a week, pulled out like $100, and then that's what I spent for the week. If I got down to $2, well, shoot, I can't spend any more this week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great tactic. And there's lots, and then, if you do really well, let's say you only spend $50, and the next week you have
Over.
$150. And then if you only spend 50 of that, then all of a sudden you've got, whatever, like you end up with a week where you have, $400 that, like, when that theme comes up that you want to splurge on, you have the cash available. And that's a part of the problem with the debit and credit card culture, is like, because we don't see it, it doesn't really register as anything other than a number in the bank until the number goes negative, and then it's like, oh God, what have I done?
Exactly. Exactly. And personal finance education, it's a gradual process. Sometimes there's people that want that get rich quick scheme. Oh my
Yep.
goodness, tongue tied. But there's a lot of risks involved with those. There's lack of sustainability, also potential for fraud, and most times unrealistic promises.
Yeah.
Which can be a little frustrating because when you're in such a poor financial situation and you see this flashy, like, join this and you'll get paid, and I'm making $8,000 a week by just, I don't even know, but
Yeah. No,
it's
yeah, you're right. I see them all the time in affiliate
yeah.
marketing space. So
And
yeah,
that's
you're right.
really tempting when you're in a really poor situation, because who doesn't want to have wealth and be able to do all the things that they dream of?
Yeah. And that's the really frustrating thing with teaching people how to make money online, is there are so many other creators and marketers who have done the false promise videos and, have fallen for the traps. And so, whenever we start with people in our community, we're like, hey, look, like, this is hard work. Like, don't be fooled. We're not promising that you're going to make $5,000 by the end of the month. Like, we're not promising any of that. There's work that goes into it, but what we're giving you is the skills and the, you know, lessons learned and whatnot that we have or
Mhm.
that we can teach you to start building that out. And that's again where I say, like, don't quit your job and then jump into the online space. Like, start building it slowly. Like, again, it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck as you're building, but once it's built and then things start rolling, it's unreal to see it like unfolding. Like, you don't believe it at first.
No,
And then it becomes a, oh, okay, well now I don't need to work 45 hours a week at my job. I can work 30 hours a week. And then it's I can work 20 hours a week. And then it's, you know what? I really don't need this frustration. I don't need to work here. Or, you keep working there for the health benefits. That's what a lot of people we know do. But it just if you're in that space and you're like, well, I can't invest in anything to start, like, unfortunately, that's the sign that you need to start. You need to start something.
Mhm.
And the money is there, the investment is there, the ability to put aside money into a savings, like you said, is there if it's important enough to you.
Yeah. No, and getting your personal finances in order is the first step to then strategically planning your new business. Like, this is how entrepreneurs can begin. They're not, there's, okay, I can't say there's no entrepreneurs that get into it without personal finance education ahead of time, but there probably is. But
Yeah.
the
But they
basics,
probably don't succeed.
I can't say, but they, in my opinion, I don't think you're succeeding if you don't know how to manage your money properly and then you're dumping money into your business.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and if you don't know how to manage money properly, then you definitely don't know how to manage your business money properly. And that's where we see a lot of people intermingle their personal and business finances. And then that's a whole another sticky situation that, gets the IRS involved. And
Yeah.
like, there's just so much to it. And so, you
Yeah.
know, we always say that like not everyone is an entrepreneur because it's true. Not everyone wants the couple years of uncomfortable for the lifetime of comfort. Um, but at the same time, it's also like not everyone's going to be willing to learn those lessons. And unfortunately, unless you're surrounded by a very supportive group of people that can help you manage those things, it's doomed to fail if you don't understand money in versus money out.
Yeah, exactly. And there's ways to overcome the obstacles that come with your personal finance journey. So, having an accountability partner, like my instructor was huge on my case in the beginning. Like, sometimes you need that, or I do. Sometimes going to the gym, it's better to work out with somebody because you push each other more and you have a little bit more incentive to get things done. But yeah, I love motivating my own students. Like, I see them get agitated, frustrated, like it's not pretty, but once things start happening and things start moving and they're not stuck anymore, it's just so worthwhile after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, like, business, finance, any of it, like success is not linear. Like everyone has this image in their mind that it just does this and it doesn't. It's a cinnamon roll and then it's a freaking wagon wheel and then, it's a cliff and then it drops and it goes back up. Like success is not linear
Backwards.
and no matter what you're doing. Yeah, exactly. Take, 3 steps backwards. Um, but that's to be expected. And if you understand that and can mitigate that, then you'll be better off.
And surrounding yourself with people that get it as well. Like, I love having you and always, because it is a crazy journey and like having people that are in that same mindset and supporting you, it makes it so much better and a lot more worth it.
Yeah, you and I have talked about a couple of times, like, sometimes when you level up, there's people that you know and love who just don't level up with you. And, you can try to drag them along or they get left behind, And those are the people who are like, oh, I knew that person in high school. And like, I should have stayed in contact with them. And it's like, they didn't have the vision. And if they don't have the vision, there's not much you can do to force that on them. So
Yeah.
as you know, better your situation, like, everyone gives people crap who came from nothing about changing their friend circle. And it's like, well, you kind of have to though, because if you get rich and you're still hanging out with a bunch of poor mindset people, you're going to be poor again very quickly.
Mhm.
So, the more you succeed, the better you get, and the more financially stable you get, you do end up with a different sphere of influence because, now the people that just want to go out and party and blow all their money don't really speak to you anymore. Like, you don't want to be around them. You want to be around the person who's like, yeah, we're saving for this, 3-week trip to Costa Rica or something like that, something that's a better experience that isn't instant gratification, but
Mhm.
it's going to be better in the long run.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that through my own personal journey of buying my first house. So I love talking to the friends that are interested in learning, the house and the deal and what's going on and things like that. I'll start talking about it with somebody who's not interested and they're kind of just like, yeah, yeah, quiet. And then you don't really enjoy talking to that person anymore about it because you're excited and you're learning and like excited to like think it over with other people. But if you're being kind of shot down in the dark, it sucks. You don't
Or
you
they're the person who's like, well, renting sucks, but I can't afford to buy a house. I'll never be able to buy a house because the economy sucks, blah, blah.
yeah.
And like, I mean, yeah, there's some truth to like it's harder for sure,
Mhm.
but the poor me mentality, the poor me mindset, the it's never gonna happen because the economy sucks mindset is so detrimental to us,
Yeah.
as so many people enjoy being in that state of mind. And when you pulled yourself out of that state of mind, like have you made something happen to you and they pull the like, oh well, it must be nice card or whatever it is, like that's just an automatic, like, all right, cool. You want to be miserable, you be miserable, but you be miserable without me 'cause I'm gone. Right. And that's again, like it's harsh, but it's what happens.
Like mindset shifts in achieving financial goals, there's a lot of shedding old parts of you in order to make impactful changes to our lives. And those are not easy because, like, years of, like, if going back to the negative Nelly person, he just was years of conditioning of being negative, finding the negative in every single situation you've been in your whole life, then yeah, that comes into play with your personal finance life as well, because everything around money and your goal setting and things, you're going to point out a negative aspect, and that's when people get stuck and you can't move forward. Because I've done it to myself.
We all have, right? We've all reached that level of not desperation, but like desolation, where it's just like, this is never gonna work. Despair almost. And I've done it multiple times in building my businesses where I'm like, what am I doing? I've just wasted 6 months. This is never gonna work.
Banging
Like,
my head.
yeah, yeah. My significant other thinks I'm fucking crazy and I'm never gonna succeed. And like, it's hard to pull yourself out of it sometimes, especially if you don't have a good support structure, right? And then, but once you have that support structure, you have those people to lean on, you can get out of it a lot faster.
Yeah, and then reminding yourself of all how far you came and the good aspects. Like I was thinking that the other day. I'm like, holy shoot, like I had ankle surgery. I'm still working full time from home, thankfully, but working a job full time. I'm in the middle of a home purchase. Like, I need to acknowledge all these things and appreciate and give myself some love for getting through all of these things, you know?
Yeah.
I'm still
And you're
here
still showing
talking
up
to
for the
you.
podcast.
Yes,
And you're
exactly.
taking on a new project that we're not really allowed to talk about yet.
But it's
So like, yeah, you're a badass.
yes,
But it's so
you're
easy
back.
for us to focus on the negative instead of seeing like what we've done. And like for me, Chris does that for me all the time because I talk about something and I'm like, yeah, I made $10 yesterday, and he's like, yeah, but that's $10 that like I didn't make because
Yeah.
I'm not doing what you're doing. He's like, you're tired all the time, but you're tired because you're building your dream. He's like, I'm tired because I stayed up too late gaming. And I'm like, all right, well, when you put it that way,
Exactly. Now Kalani
you
tells me
know.
all the time. It's
But
helpful,
like Smith this morning, he's like, oh, I posted 2 YouTube videos while I was here in bed. I was like, that's the life. That's
right?
like our YouTube's not making us money yet, but it will. And eventually it's gonna be like that conversation is eventually gonna be, hey, we just made $2,000. because I posted this video while we were laying in bed, right? Like the situation is going to change, the conversation is going to change, and that's because we're focused on building it, and we're focused on, yeah, this sucks. We're grinding away building this channel, and we're grinding and grinding and grinding. We know that the pace that we're at is not sustainable, but that's the pace that we need to get where we need to go, and then we can back off a little bit. And then once it's up and running, then once you have that second wind, you can go hard again, and then it's already rolling, so you're good. You can get ahead, and that's the sweet spot, right? But when you're building, it's a lot of burning the candle at both ends.
Yes, and a little bit of breakdowns and just days where you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
So I think we just found our topic for next week.
yeah. But it's fun in the end. Like, and
It's worth it. It's
yeah,
definitely worth it.
worth it for sure. And I so grateful for each aspect, each part of this whole life journey, and like I'm just happy that I'm not where I was a year ago, even if it's
Yeah.
3 steps forward. It's a lot, and it's possible for everybody.
Yeah. Small progress is still progress.
Yeah, so the first thing is to recognize that you have a need for a change and taking the first steps, and you'll just look back and be so happy you did. And there are multiple ways where you can get started, and it's online, or I'll post the links to where you can schedule a private consultation with me. And I just am looking forward to 2024 and everybody else to grow with us.
Love it. Yep. And then next week we'll talk about getting over the fear of getting started.
Yeah.
And what that looks like.
Don't be scared. Stay sexy.
Face your demons.
Yeah. Make friends with them.
Yes.